Alright, after the debacle with the last episode, I can finally get to the video game. Now, I would like to give a little personal backstory for this game. After doing my second viewing of the anime series at 13, I decided to look for a copy of the game for my PSP. It took me a couple months before I finally found the last copy at a GameStop off the side of a freeway. Played the game for hours, and when I got to the first boss, I died. I thought, well, that's okay, I just need to be more prepared next time. Wait, the end credits, what? So I started the game and tried again. And died. Again! I should probably explain. People who were initially introduced to the Disgaea series through the anime, like me, were surprised to find out that the game franchise is a tactical RPG. In retrospect, thinking a fantasy game made in Japan would be anything but a turn-based RPG was just a lack of common sense on my part. Anyway, you can have a max of 10 characters on the field, and you must use a combination of organized attacks, planning, exploits, and over-leveled characters to win. Now, I will completely admit that the graphics look pretty terrible, and the character sprites are, at best, okay. However, NIS stated that they intended to focus on the gameplay, which led to a neglected appearance, but it is still a difficult hurdle to start with. For those of you waiting to hear about the story,
although you could just watch my anime review, you lazy son of a bitch.
Laharl wakes up from a 2-year sleep, decides to become the Overlord, and hatches a bunch of plots to take care of the competition, impress his vassals, and take over the world.
Of course!
However, I gotta say, although downplayed a bunch in the anime, the game really plays with the idea that you're playing from the perspective of the bad guy. It is nowhere more obvious than when you confront the goddamn Power Rangers. And if you look hard enough, you can see the hero influences from the other enemies. This is this, she is her, he is him, they are that guy is these guys, and they are this. So anyway, the game can get pretty... Damn it. Anyway, I was saying that... Stop it! The game can... Yeah, needless to say, Disgaea is not kind to beginners. You start out the game with a total of 5 characters, but they are all close combat fighters, and 3 of them are just useless fodder. So you'll be spending the first hour or 2 grinding so you can actually make some useful characters. Or you'll be making some worthless good-for-nothing characters that will take forever to become viable in battle. And I'm not joking, they're literally called good-for-nothing. In addition to the standard tactical RPG gameplay, includes the lift and throw mechanic, which not only adds a unique element to moving through the levels, but you can have enemies go all Dragon Ball Z on your ass and with fusion so you can fight tougher opponents and speed up the grinding. You create characters by going to the Dark Assembly, which also hosts ways to affect items in the shops and enemy difficulty. The humanoid characters are able to use a variety of 7 different weapon types, each with a unique purpose when it comes to combat. For instance, swords have a variety of specials, allowing you an attack for different situations, and serves as a weapon for beginners, while the gun has the best range out of all the weapons, and specials that have elemental effects while still being considered a physical attack. Now, there are a variety of classes to choose from for humans. I personally prefer a female warrior with an axe and a thief with a staff. I meant from Disgaea 2 onwards. And for the monster classes, well... Okay, well, the monsters do have equal aptitude to the main characters. In Disgaea 1, they are also incredibly unbalanced and unreliable. Firstly, monsters can't equip normal human weapons, like a sword or a spear, and need monster weapons. Okay, you might think that ain't so bad, until you consider these weapons only affect 2 stats, attack and accuracy. Again, not so bad, since it is a weapon. However, it renders monsters with magic specials completely useless, since they will always be inferior to the monsters that have physical attacks. Secondly, there is no incentive to make monsters early on. You see, basically all classes have 6 tiers. For human classes, you get to the next tier by reaching a certain level, and advanced classes are unlocked by beating specific requirements with the other human classes. Do you know what it takes to get new monsters and higher ranked tiers? You kill them once, and you can make them easier to create by killing them multiple times. No level requirement, no specific event needed, just killing them once. Are you kidding me? So why would I bother making some tier 1 monster when I can just wait and make a tier 6 monster later? And if you do decide to make a monster, then you will come to find that aside from their stats, design, and specials, they play exactly the same. I know that does sound a bit weird to people who play RPGs, since those are essentially most of what a class is. Just hear me out. All monsters have a base attack range of 1 that always has a slight delay before it hits, and I mean every single effing time. And a lot of monsters share the same sound bites, coupled with a lack of variety in their special move pools, and you get the feeling that Nipponichi just gave up when it came to monsters, seeing them more as enemies to the player rather than putting effort into actually making them fun to play as. Now, this sort of laziness shows when it comes to the dubbing of the generic female characters, which there is none. They just reuse the Japanese voice samples for the English release, which just bugs the shit out of me. So if I can complain about all this stuff in the original game, How did this game get me started on my favorite video game series? That's because the rest is just pretty awesome. After the initial hurdle in the beginning, the game can be pretty manageable while still staying challenging. The enemies' level will keep up with you for the most part, and the layout of the maps and enemies always favors them, so you have to come up with unique ways to confront them. The layout of the maps and the enemies' builds and equipment actually contribute to the stories, since it can communicate unique things about them. However, probably the greatest inclusion that Disgaea ever put in its game was the item world. An area where you can go inside a dungeon made from an item, and as you go further through it, the item levels up. The item world is a randomized dungeon in the purest sense. Randomized maps, randomized enemies, randomized item drops, randomized toppings, I don't know. But you see, what's so great about the item world is what it adds to the way we experience character progression, the way we experience grinding. Two of the most prevalent and often important aspects of RPGs. Not only are you leveling up your characters and items as you go deeper into dungeons, but you also experience a variety of enemy encounters that push you to the limit of your team and the mastery of the game mechanics. The idea of leveling up your item gives each item a much greater worth and personal value the more you use it, while also allowing you to obtain higher quality items as you train your team items. Aside from the item world, the game also includes a bunch of optional boss fights and maps to go through, including Cave Ordeals, Prier, and Martelly. However, that is just preparation for the infamous Ball fight, a boss that is essentially the ultimate last enemy and became the staple final challenge in the series. Lastly, the game has a variety of alternate endings that I usually bemoan in RPGs, but after your first run through, it is pretty easy to see the rest, so it's fine, though I am sad that there is no post-story option. So yeah, this is just a basic rundown of the first game. Now, I don't really know how to end this. So here's one final piece of trivia that just needs to be said. Although in the English version it says the thief is male, the thief is actually an androgynous female, as can be explained with their original Japanese voices. The reason for this mistake is probably because how the thief helps unlock the Majin along with the other males, since female characters usually unlock other female characters and the male characters unlock male characters. However, the game establishes that the Majin are a rare race of demons that only appear with male models. Thief's subsequent redesign keeps a lot of her original body type, just making her gender more obvious. Anyway, thanks for watching. I've got a bunch of videos I plan on working on, so look forward to it, and I'll see you next time.